Okay, it's Robert Eagleson here with the Calgary Hook and Hackle Club, and today we're going to do a variation of a black Martinez. So this fly, I'm tying it on a size 10 natural bend or a hopper hook. For the tail, I've got some fuzz off the base of a guinea feathered dyed olive. I'm going to put some .025 lead wire in the middle. The wing case here is a metallic kind of ribbon. I've picked that up at Michael's. I've just cut it into a strip. I'm using chartreuse wire as a rib. I am using up some old Hare's Ear Plus dubbing. It's a black rabbit, very spiky, with a little bit of Antron built in. And if you listen to Gary LaFontaine, Antron has magic properties. The legs or the hackle here, I'm using guinea feather dyed olive. And then for the collar, I have an aftershaft feather dyed olive. So if you're wondering where I get this aftershaft feather dyed olive, I have bought an olive ringneck pheasant skin that was dyed olive. So what you would do would find yourself a rump feather off of that skin, and then on the back of the rump feather you will see this aftershaft feather, which is attached to the base of the rump feather. So that's the feather I'm using as a collar. I've tied a lot of flies lately with aftershaft feathers because they're so soft and so much movement in the water. So anyway, let's get started. So I'm going to put in my size 10 natural bend hook. In the vise, I'm going to find some .25 wire, and I'm going to make 10-12 wraps there. And let's get those butt ends tucked in. I'm using 70 denier olive thread. Let's make a dam in front and a dam behind, and then go through the wire and make sure it's down nice and solid. Clip my excess. I'll bring my thread down, and then I'm going to find a guinea feather. Okay, I've got a guinea feather here. So I'm just going to take some of this fluff right off the bottom. So I got kind of a bit of marabou here with a bit of fibers there. Maybe a ½ an inch I'm pulling off of there. Tips are pretty much aligned. I want my tail to be about gap width and length. So I'm just going to tie that on the top and cinch it down behind the wire. Looks about right. Maybe a little touch long, that's alright. You know what, maybe we'll just shorten that up. Let's just shorten that up a touch. That looks better. That looks better. Okay, find my chartreuse wire. This is in a brassie size. And I'll just tuck that in behind the lead, cinch it down to the bend again, and then I need my shellback. So I mentioned this is just kind of like a metallic looking ribbon that I've cut into strips, and I will just start that, cinch it down good, and then I will start my dubbing. So Hare's Ear Plus, little Antron in it, pull it off. Just going to wet my fingers a touch. And I want to dub a reasonably thin but tapered body upwards. Stuff is a little hard to work with. But we're getting her done. Touch more dubbing here. Oh, just in front of that lead, maybe just a hair more here. Keep that taper. That looks better. Alright, let's put a half hitch in there, and then we'll just bring our wing case over. Have a loose wrap there so that I don't trap. There we go. Pull that tight. Come back on itself a little bit. Clip it off. Alright, make sure that wing case is on top. Let's put another half hitch in there, get my thread out of the way, and then I'll just bring my rib over the top. Fairly even wraps. And we'll tie the wire off, helicopter that off. Now, let's take a toothbrush here and just kind of work out some of those spiky, just to give it a little bit more buggy look. Alright, so we got the wing case on top, rib through it. Now we need my guinea feather again here, so I'm just going to prepare this hackle by a bit of a tip out there. We'll just clip that off, and then we're going to tie it in right there by that tip. Now we're just going to take my scissor edge here. I'm going to hold that stem. I'm going to run that blade of the scissors up right along the stem. You'll feel it clicking over those barbs. And what that does is kind of crack those barbs so that you can wrap them easier. They're going to naturally now orientate towards the back. A little trick I learned at a FFI tying session several years ago. So I don't want to overdress this too much, so 2 or 3 turns. It's going to be lots, I think. I think that's lots there. That's just, 2 turns? Let's just tie that off right there. Clip my excess. So those legs should go back to the bend, maybe slightly beyond. Alright, I'm just going to use my thread now to make sure that those legs are held back. That looks pretty good. Alright, now I'm going to put my aftershaft feather in, and I'm going to use it in a dubbing loop, because that is really the only way that you can put these feathers on. They're very soft and very fragile. So dubbing loop tool, I just use the old shepherd hook. So I'll place that in the bottom. These aftershaft feathers are kind of tough to work with because they're so light and fluffy. So I'm just going to put a bit of dubbing wax just on the one side of that. Find my aftershaft feather, and I'm going to just stick that up right so the butt of that feather is right close to the top there, and then I'm just going to try to trap that. I want the stem of that feather pretty close to my thread. Thread should go right up along the stem. Okay, so we're getting there. Move that up a touch if I can. Okay, so I'm just going to pinch my thread at the bottom of that feather and then spin it. And when I let go, that feather should spin up. Let's try to get any trapped feathers out of there. Alright, that looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to spin that for my collar. I'll pull back what I can here. And that looks pretty good. Got my thread. Catch that. Couple wraps. Clip my dubbing loop off. Couple wraps. Find my whip finisher. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure my thread is seated good, and we'll just clip that thread off. Alrighty, so we got the after shaft feather in there. We're just going to brush that out. Okay, so there we go. This is the black Martinez variation. I think it'll be a deadly lake fly. Lots and lots of movement. I would fish it in short jerks, but it's got some flash there for attractant. Chartreuse rib, antron inside the rabbit dubbing, and tons of movement there in that aftershaft collar feather. Alright, the black Martinez. Thanks for watching.